Good morning, young people and those who are young at heart. Today I wanted to talk to you about Easter. I know it's a long way off, but do you know the Easter story? You might be able to remember snippets of stories from RMPS lessons or school assemblies. Easter is the weekend where Christians celebrate the death of Jesus. You might think that's a bit strange, celebrating a death. But more importantly, we celebrate the fact that Jesus' death was not permanent. He was resurrected, he came back to life, and in doing that, he made a way for all of us to go back into relationship with God. Over 2,000 years have passed, and Christians all over the world still celebrate with joy and wonder at what Jesus did that weekend. But it wasn't always that way. It wasn't always a joyful celebration. Picture this, the very first Easter weekend. Jesus had just been killed, hung up to die on a cross. Crucifixion was a Roman form of execution. It was designed to be the longest, most painful and most humiliating way to die. All looked hopeless. The disciples, Jesus' followers, were crushed. The man they had devoted their lives to had just been arrested, beaten and killed. They were scared. The man they thought was going to rescue them from the Romans had just died at their hands. They were wondering if they were going to be next. Some of the women who also followed Jesus decided to go to the tomb early on the Sunday morning. They had taken spices and perfume so that they could embalm the body. But when they arrived, the stone sealing the tomb had been rolled away and the body of Jesus was not there. Distraught and shocked, Mary Magdalene ran back to Peter and John, telling them that Jesus' body had disappeared. Peter and John ran for the tomb to see for themselves, and all they found was the cloth that Jesus had been wrapped in. Dejected, broken-hearted, they returned home, but Mary stayed in the garden and cried. How shocked she was when suddenly Jesus was standing in front of her. She ran back to the disciples to tell them that she had seen the Lord. But they were still afraid. Huddled together, they locked themselves in the upstairs room of a house. Suddenly, Jesus stood among them. Some of them thought it was a ghost, some of them refused to believe. But Jesus went round, touching each of them, letting them see the wounds in his hands and his feet from the nails, proving it really was him. Jesus appeared to over 500 people over the next 40 days. He continued to teach, perform miracles and heal people until it was time for him to leave them. He left his followers with an instruction, one that Christians to this day still believe and follow. He also left them with a promise. He said this, "Go and make followers of all people in the world. Baptize them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. Teach them to obey everything I have taught you. And surely I will be with you always until the end of this age." Jesus promised his followers that he would be with them, and this is something that Christians still believe and take comfort in. We also believe that it's our responsibility to tell people about Jesus and share the amazing things he's done in our lives. When it was time for Jesus to leave his disciples, he was taken up to heaven. This was his final departure. His mission was complete, and it was time for him to retake his rightful place by God's side in heaven. The way back to God had been made, and Jesus was the way through which that happened. The disciples were full of joy and hope, excited to get out and share the good news. What a change from that scared bunch who were hiding in an upper room. A bit later in the Bible, another writer speaks about this mandate or instruction given by Jesus. He speaks about how life can be completely changed around. In 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verses 17 and 18 it says this, "If anyone belongs to Christ, he is a new creation. The old things have gone, everything is made new. And this is from God, through Christ. God made peace between us and himself. And God gave us the work of telling everyone of the peace we can have with him. God's plan for humanity, way back in the beginning, was for us to be in relationship with Him and partner with Him. God's plan hasn't changed. We're the ones that walked away. We turned our backs. But through what Jesus did on the cross, that relationship is made possible again. God still wants us to partner with Him by telling our friends, telling everyone the good news of what Jesus has done for us.